Hi, my name is Cheri. Welcome to my stamp studio and welcome to the third card this week in my series of celebration cards. Now I have other cards on my channel that are part of the winter 2022 celebration catalog, but this week I'm just kind of concentrating on just showing you things that are in this catalog, which is kind of hard because I really want to show you what's planned for Card Club in February. And I got my paper pumpkin and I'd really like to show you some alternatives for the paper pumpkin, but I'm sticking to the plan and I'm just going to show you a celebration. So stay tuned for next, over the weekend, probably Sunday, maybe Saturday, Monday, I'll show you both. Well, I will definitely show you Card Club, and then I'm going to show you my February online class, but it is future celebration stuff. So that works out okay because I can still parlay that into this and not mess up my theme. So if you have missed the first two cards in this series, the first one I did Island Vibes, which is this fun little stamp set. And on it, I wanted to make sure to point it out to you because I used the adhesive sheets kind of in the way that they're designed to be used, but we're going to use those again today in a little bit of a different way. So this card is up. And then I wanted to show you this one too. I should show you both of them. This is the one that would have posted before the one I'm just doing now, all on the same day in YouTube world over here where I'm filming. But I did these earlier today, and so when you would have seen them on the video, the glue hadn't yet dried, and I used all of the dies on the tulips, which are not part of Celebration, but the rainbow paper is. And the glue wasn't dry, but I did want you to see now that they've had, maybe an hour or so to set up. Excuse me. That liquid glue has set, and it's really, really pretty. I just love this really... My tulip, after I looked at the ones in the catalog, is much more of a substantial flower than the ones that they did in there. Because I like to just kind of wing my dies the first time and then I kind of go have a look and see what other people, or this time I've only looked at the catalog, but theirs are not, they did not use all of their dies on one tulip, but mine did. So both of these are up. So if you're still trying to decide, then there's that. So for today, I'm going to use another $100 selection. And the reason that this is $100, it's the friendly hello, but it's a bundle. So for it, you get the stamp set and the paper. So here's the stamp set, and I did do this earlier, and I did it with Card Club, I think in December. Yeah, it was December Card Club, because this stamp set goes really, really well with the Beauty of the Earth paper, and that was my the paper that the Card Club girls got in December. So if you're thinking like, what's she talking about, what's Card Club, hang on, and when I get to the Card Club video I will fully explain it, because you can't miss sign-ups. So as long as you're in by the 10th of the month, then you're in for Card Club. And so the Card Club girls don't even know what's happening this month, and it's the subscription service, so once you're in, you're good. But this did match the Beauty of the Earth paper perfectly. So once you're out of this paper, there's still other papers that Stampin' Up! Has that you can use it with. But you get this really fun photopolymer set, and on today's card, I'm going to use both. But I did want to show you all of the paper because I'm only using one piece. Where did I open it at? Super, super spring, great colors. Look at all these fun colors. This is the piece I'm using today. And as I saw this one, and I'm like, oh, I'm using that one. How many of you do this? And then I saw that and I was like, sold on this one. I love Pool Party and Black together. It's one of my favorite combinations. Then we've got some Granny Apple. We've got some, it's either Freesia or Heather. I think it's Freesia. And then we've got some Papaya. And we've got look at this piece. That one was a close second. But then there's another stripy piece in a minute when you see it. This one's really pretty. It's a large design. This one would go really pretty with the Island Vibe stamp set. But look at this one. How much fun is that? That would go with the rainbow stamp set if you don't get the rainbow paper. And then we've got the Papaya and the Black. So it's a really, really fun set of paper, and you get that with the stamp set. And it's free with $100 purchase. So let me show you the card. So we are going to use... the card's going to be black, and then I have this quarter sheet of It's 4 by 5 1/4. And then we're gonna use some vellum. And then I have it like this, but it really just needed a little pop of white to set it off. So this is a 1/4 inch larger. So this is 4 by 5 1/4. So this is a 1/4 inch larger than that to just give it, not a 1/4 inch, an 1/8 of an inch larger, just to give it that little pop of white behind it. And then here's our adhesive sheet, and you'll see how I'm gonna use it in a second. So let's stamp. So I'm gonna stamp, well, we've got 2 dirty sides of paper. We're gonna stamp on the vellum. So I pulled out the birds and then the birthday greeting, and I'm gonna use Versamark. Now here's a little trick when you are stamping with these clear photopolymers. I like to use these little grid papers, and these are actually designed to go with the Stamparatus. Great thing to get during celebration because, you know, it's grid paper. It's not super exciting, super useful, not super exciting. But when you get the super useful, not super exciting stuff during celebration, at least then you can add a free super exciting thing on at the end, right? So again, another not super exciting but super useful thing is a Versamark pad. So I'm gonna stamp my bird in the Versamark. I know I want to put a ribbon at the top. So I'm going to leave a little bit of room for ribbon and just kind of stamp this in the middle. Try not to touch your vellum when you're going to emboss everywhere. Like, you don't want fingerprints all over because otherwise you'll emboss your fingerprints. Now here's where you want to line this up because I'm going to put my words on and this will help them be straight. So this says, hope you have the best birthday. And the best birthday is straight. So if I just line this up and then I aim for that straight line, that's right down there, that bolt, I'm aiming on this one, and just line that up, then I know my stamp is straight. So I've stamped that, and then I'm gonna get the black embossing powder. And in the new catalog, in the annual catalog, our embossing powders come in sets. So I think this is part of the basics. There's one that's like black and white. I don't know, I meant to look before the video because, you know, I've taken mine out of the bags. Once you take them out of the bags, then you gotta try to remember. Now I put moisturizer on my hands a little bit ago and I'm like, why'd you do that? Because I knew that once I did it, it makes your fingers a little bit hard to, and that's why I was really trying not to touch my paper. So get those places off where I did touch. So there's gonna be a tiny bit here where I touched a little too hard when I was showing you where the paper was, but it'll have a tiny bit of little black, but it doesn't matter so much on this card because I can cover it up with an embellishment. Put all it back on in here. Embossing powder is another great thing to stock up during celebration. And I love the one has metallics and the one has kind of basic colors. So then you're gonna heat it. Now with this, the black is easy to see it melt, but you wanna make sure that all of it melts because we are going to do a couple of different techniques with this paper. And if it's not melted, it's gonna come off. So I'm gonna get my gun hot. And then I'm gonna stand up so you can see it a little bit better. Give my camera time to focus. Hold it in one spot. Aim it in the light so you can see when it turns. And when it goes from powder to shiny, then you know it's heated. And if you don't wave it, if you just move it, then each place will heat and melt. You don't want it to go longer than it needs to, because then it melts flat and it doesn't stay nice and shiny. So then kind of tilt it around, and it's a sunny day here, which helps. And I think I have it all. The first time I did not have it all. And you know, I've been doing this for a long time, and embossing was the very first thing I ever did. I only embossed. I did not even own any ink pad colors. I only owned, for probably the first 3 years that I stamped, I did not own any ink pad colors. I only owned embossing pad colors, and I colored everything in with mostly watercolor pencils, and I owned like 4 colors of those. So there you go. You don't have to own a zillion things of colors. If you were just starting out. So I wanted to color this in. So I love this paper and I wanted to use this, but obviously it's very busy, right? But when you lay this over the top, then you get the illusion of, when I do a vellum overlay, I like to cut it smaller. So you do see some of the original pattern. But then I still wanted these to pop, and I wanted to use white. So I took our Whisper White and I'm gonna paint it. And if you don't own a Whisper White pad, again, another thing that you can get now. But the Whisper White does come uninked, and then it comes with a refill. because it's a craft ink, so you do have to refill it more often. You can see I mostly just fill mine in the center. I've never filled the whole thing up. But for this one, I'm just going to paint. So I just added a tiny bit of refill there. And now I'm going to paint it with a water painter, but there's no water in it. It's just the brush tip. So you can see it's empty. It's never had water in this one, actually. It's a new one. And as long as you put the lid back on, you don't have to worry about it. Once I'm all done with these, then I'll take it over and I will wash it out. But as long as you put the lid right back on it, then it the brush tip won't dry. So it's pretty thick. So I'm just going to paint this on. I'm painting on the back side. You don't want to paint on the front side because this stuff takes forever to dry. So I'm just going to brush it on my bird. And then I'm going to brush it on my flowers. And you don't have to get that center bit there because on the front side, it is all black. So this won't show up there anyway. So just get those parts where you can see through. And it's going to be way, way whiter on this side of the card than it is once it's flipped over, which you'll see when I do flip it over. You don't have to be any kind of, as long as you, for the most part, stay inside the lines, that's all that matters. And I did this first card earlier this morning when I designed my cards before I filmed. And then I just stuck this lid back on. And you can see it didn't do anything to my water painter. And as long as I stick it on now, then when I'm done filming all of the rest of my cards for today, I'll just take it into the bathroom and run it in the sink and just wash it off. So your water painter's fine. Now, if you want, you can just let this sit and dry. I'm just going to take this just for a second and heat it. It won't dry all the way. It doesn't have to dry all the way because of the technique I'm going to do, but I don't want to remelt this on the front. Isn't that pretty? You could almost just do a black and white card like that, but I'm going to use that beautiful paper. So I'm just going to heat set this for a second. It's not going to dry all the way, but it just won't be quite so wet. You can see that it's gone from not as shiny to more chalky. So now what I want to do is I wanted to have a way, you can see when you lay this on the top of that, like it makes this background of the paper, but like don't look at my design, look at the background of the paper. It's very, like it kind of gets lost. When you lay this down, look at the difference it makes. So that's where the adhesive sheets are going to come in. So the adhesive sheets come, I moved all the stuff where I cut it. So the adhesive sheets come 6 by 12. So I have cut this to be just a fraction shorter than this piece here. And when you get the 6 by 12, you'll see that they have like long ways. They have like kind of like cracks in them. So you can start up here at the top. I'm just going to line this up here, almost to the edge. And put this here. So this is the same stuff that's designed really to be used with our cut and emboss dies to make them into stickers, but we're just going to make this into one giant sticker. So I'm going to pull this next piece off and kind of gently let that fall down on here. And because this isn't dry, it will lift off a little bit of this craft paint. You can let it sit longer if you're not filming. If you want to let it sit for 20 minutes or so and get all the way dry and not heat set it, it will be a brighter white. But you know, it is what it is when I'm filming, and it will look fine. And now you want to see, you see why you want to make sure all this was pressed on good and proper, or heated good and proper, because all of this rubbing, if it's not melted, your embossing, you're just going to rub it off. So get this all pressed on here. And then we're just gonna pull this off. Decide which direction you want, up or down. So here's a bird here, and here's birds here. So you have to kind of decide when this goes on here where you want your birds to be. So I'm gonna have these two birds be here so it doesn't look like this bird's just sitting on the top of this. And then just pull your sticker sheet off. If it goes over the side of anything, it kind of just disappears. And you'll see what I mean. And you'll see what I mean when it pulls off a little bit of our white paint. When we get to that part, see how it's lifting it up? Mostly what it pulls up though is the part that's on the embossing powder. It kind of looks like it is like candy or something. But if it was all the way dry, see on my bird where I got it a little bit more dry, it's staying a little bit better. It just needs to be dry. See up here where the bird's dry, it doesn't lift off at all. So now that's pulled off. So now we have a sticker. So now you don't have to worry about how am I going to attach my vellum, because the whole entire thing is going to attach to our card. Super sticky, so again, you don't want to be careful where you touch it. Lay it on here. And now when you put it on, you still get that illusion of the paper behind, but you see it much more better than, is that bad English? You see it a lot better than if it was raised up over the top. It's really pretty effect. So just flatten it all out. Make sure you don't have any bubbles, and you can work them all out. And then I'm going to take my pool party ribbon, and this is in the annual catalog. Look how pretty that looks with it. And just tie a bow here. And then pull that. And then I'm going to take my adhesive. Stick that on there. Pop this over. There's that greeny apple green that's on the other side. Really pretty color, but it doesn't look like it goes at all with this card. Just straighten this back. Let's fold our black card in half. Now, if I was, you can stamp your greeting in white. You can take our white gel pen and then write your greeting in white, or you can just put a white quarter sheet of cardstock on the inside. But since you already have all your white stuff and your embossing stuff out, you have a ton of options on how you want to handle the inside of your card. I'm going to put this on here and put my white piece on. Remember, I have this pop of white because look, this is pretty, but look how much more. And if you want, I would take dies or punches, like here. You can take, this is from when I did the rainbow card earlier with the tulips. Because this is just gonna get buried back there, you might as well make use of this paper, right? And just lay these on your desk ready to use for something else. So now we have this whole piece of paper, but we also have 4 clouds that we can use for something else, because it's silly when you just cover up a whole sheet of paper like that. So now we've got that. Add a little bit more adhesive. The other thing is the adhesive shows through, so you don't have to use quite as much on the second layer. Now let's pop this down. It just has that little 1/8 inch. Whoops. That's why I love my seal so much, because you can move it. When you have an 1/8 inch of a border, you have to be really careful where you're putting it down, because it doesn't really give you a lot of room to work with. But it just really kind of pops that out, and it makes the bird, I think, pop a little bit more. So got that. Now just a couple more things. I'm going to take my Wink of Stella, and on this side, because the bird, she's painted on the other side, you don't want to go over the top of the embossing powder, because you don't want to do anything to dull how nice and bright the embossing powder is. But my bird and my flower, I'm just going to give them ever so slight a touch of the Wink of Stella. And I probably wouldn't have done that, except if you watched the tulip card. I did add a little bit of that to my clouds and my tulip. So it was laying on the table, and I thought, oh, you can never have too much glitter. And it just makes her pop a little bit more again off the top of the vellum. But don't cover up the embossing powder because that doesn't look great. Because the embossing powder is so shiny. And then for our embellishments, I went with the adhesive back hexagons, which are in the January to June mini. Because this is, I think this is Bermuda Bay maybe. And I have white crafting, so let's switch to this. I'll wipe that off. But it has the Bermuda Bay and the black. It may be, does it say what colors they are? I don't know. It looks really good with this card. So let's add 3 of the blacks, and there's 3 sizes. So let's do all 3 sizes of the black, just kind of random down here around the saying. And then let's get 2 of the green. They're not pool party, but they coordinate nicely with the color. So super easy, a really fun, a couple of different techniques. I'm using the adhesive sheets. I'm coloring with the white craft ink. Here's my other one. They're gonna look about the same every single time. A little bit different of the placement, but there's really not a whole lot that different that you can do. Super fun, a great $100 freebie to get both the stamp set and the paper. So again, there's the Versamark pad, there's embossing powders, there's a white craft pad, there's water painters. There's so many tool things that don't forget about them now, and then in March be like, oh, I could have used that, and then in March just have to buy it and not get something free for it because celebration lasts through the end of February. So that's what I have for you now, and there will be more to come this week. Have a great one. Bye.